Right, so we all want to be happy, right? Of course we do. Aristotle said, happiness is the purpose and the meaning of life, the whole aim and end of human existence. It's what we're here for. And yet, we don't know how to do it all that well. Some startling statistics. 1 in 5 women in America are on antidepressants. Every year, 6 million more men start taking antidepressants. When asked, less than 30% of people reported being truly, deeply happy. And the World Health Organization predicted that in 2020, that's the year we're in now, that depression would be second only to heart disease as the biggest global burden of illness. And that's all before COVID and the pandemic. We're making twice as much money as we were 50 years ago, but we're less happy. So we don't know how to do this. And in a minute, I'm going to share with you some of the 21 happiness habits, the things that we can actually cultivate in ourselves to bring more happiness. Before I do that, I want to share a little bit of my story. So I'm Karen Laidlaw. I'm a global leadership trainer. I work for one of the biggest technology firms in the world, and that work takes me all over the world, and I love that. Oh, it's such a great job that I have. And I'm also a recently certified Happiness for No Reason trainer. So here's my story. I had a pretty happy childhood. Had brothers and sisters. I loved them. They loved me. We grew up with a pool. Our parents were happy. We had lots of friends around us. We had family that lived close enough by that we could visit for the weekends. Life was good. And I went along merrily, never thinking anything would ever interrupt this beautiful upward trajectory until my 30s. In my 30s, I took this dip. It was a big dip, and it lasted a long time. 25 years. 25 years. And it was a period of self-doubt. And I think, some of the reasons for that was I was in the wrong marriage. I probably knew before I married him that I was marrying the wrong guy, but I was in this wrong marriage. And my life was just duty and obligation. My sister Debbie, who I loved so much, she passed away from breast cancer. And my mother, maybe because of that, and maybe just because of how she was born, she became my biggest and my harshest critic. And I would say my constant critic. So here I am in this dip, and I'm battling to get out of it, and trying everything, and I'm still stuck in it. And I had this best friend, Andrew. He lives in Australia, and he used to say to me all the time, he adored me, and I knew that. And he'd say to me all the time, Karen, you need to love yourself more. And I'd get kind of angry and go, I do love myself. But through the work that I did and the thinking about this, I realized that I didn't. I valued everybody else's opinion over mine. And so I actually created some habits, or some habits actually came out of a physical habit I had that helped me move out of that. So here's what happened. One of the things is having someone like Andrew around. I had another friend, Lisa, who I knew just adored me. I had participants and leaders across the globe that were my biggest fans. And so I focused on that. And that helped me kind of rethink my thoughts, question my thoughts. Because when my mother kept telling me things like, no man's ever going to love you, or you're too smart for your own good, or your kids are going to grow up wanting because you're traveling so much, and all of these things, I kind of took them on, and they got into my heart until I started questioning them. I started asking, is that even true? Is there evidence that it's not true? And guess what? I found a lot of evidence that it wasn't true. So, surrounded myself with loving people, questioned some of my thoughts, doubted them. And the third thing I did, this came out of my walking habit. I used to love to walk every day. I still do love to walk every day. And one of the things I loved about walking is it just made me happy. And it didn't matter if it was 30 degrees below 0 Celsius and there was ice on the ground and I was wearing my balaclava to keep warm. I loved walking. If it was 35 degrees above 0 and so hot that I thought I might melt, I still loved the walking. And I realized in those walking moments that I was happy. I liked myself. I liked being on my own. I liked the things I was up to in life. And I realized that my own inner wisdom was what I needed to listen to, because I'd spent too much time listening to my mother's voice, listening to the church I was involved in, and the voice there that always reminded me I wasn't good enough. And I stayed away from the people that might have been too jealous of me to really celebrate my successes. And I started listening and taking my own counsel. And it culminated for me on a day, not, a couple of years ago. It was August 1st. I remember I was in Lake Tahoe. We were running a leadership event, and we had sent all the leaders off to work in their groups. And we said, get outside and go enjoy it. So there were, I went outside as well, and I'm sitting on a park bench, and I can hear the birds chirping and the beautiful blue sky. I can hear a mountain stream, that beautiful fresh country air. And I'm looking around at each of my 5 groups of leaders really intently working with each other. And it was a beautiful thing. And I sat there and I just had this moment of stillness. And the thought that came to me was, I am a beautiful person. I'd never had that thought before. Or if I had it, it was so long before I couldn't remember it. I was filled with everybody else's truth, their truth, but not my truth. And so that inner wisdom, listening to my inner voice, having the people around me that loved me, and rethinking my thoughts, questioning my thoughts, led me to this different trajectory and to happiness, no matter what. And I'm so happy and grateful for that. That's been my biggest learning, that I could choose. I didn't need to accept everybody else's opinion of me. I choose my own happiness. I did it by creating habits. And I'm here to help you do that. So let's get started.